Welcome, comic book community. This is Robert, the comic book G-Spot Galvin speaking. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Everybody in the chat, Rob Worst, Comic Minded, and who else? All right, that's all we have in the chat for right now. I have some special guests. I have a special guest on tonight. You're going to love this. I've been wanting this gentleman on my show for quite a long time. And before I get there, I just want to introduce my co-host, Jeff 813, the Cantonese Comic Kid. Brother, how you doing?
How you guys doing? Not bad, not bad.
And I just put my book away. That was a mistake. Okay. Little off track, guys. So sorry. Here we go. Now that I got you with the hook, it's time for a book and a little bit of history for you guys. As you know, and I'm pretty sure it's getting around, I love my Golden Age, and I like Golden Age books, but I also I'm really into horror books. And here you go. This is called Mystery Adventures. This book is issue 14. It's a very interesting book. I've actually read it. It's really good. About this guy right here. He finds somebody cheating on him, and he decides to take the guy who's cheating on his wife or his girlfriend or whatever it was, and he burns him alive in a furnace. It's kind of harsh. But just so you guys know, issue 14, 1953. That's how old this book is, and it is a beautiful book. And as you noticed, my guest that's coming on tonight is going to love what this is in, because he's trying to train me on doing this. And so, first of all, Jeff?
Since we got you with the book, let's get you with the hook. I got a Jim Valiant Studio Edition. If you guys never seen a Studio Edition before, it actually comes with a small little art print. And it actually will get you guys your fix today, your redheads and boobs today.
It's late night. We're all good.
No, that's what I'm saying. They get their fix.
That's right.
Yeah. It's 113. Yeah, it's issue 113, and it actually signed by Jim Valiant, and it's actually has the print, and it's 88 of 500.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Okay. Now, special guest, he needs no introduction. You all know him for speaking the truth, speaking his mind. Here he is, the great legend. Legend. Thank you.
Coming at you live. Thank you so much, Robert Galvin and Jeff 813, the Cantonese Kid. Man, it is good to be here. And fans, since they showed you they showed you the books, man, that got you the hooks, and I'm going to give you a book that some of you may have not had the looks, but I'm going to show it to you right now. And this is another Golden Age. I was trying to find a little silver, a little, number 4, but the Popeye figures were all on the Fantastic Four boxes. So I'm going to bring you a little Golden Age gem here. And I got Wiz Comics number 2. This is a Golden Age book from Fawcett Publications, 1940. It is the freaking origin of the little guy named Billy Batson, who would become the immortal Captain Marvel when Shazam the Wizard bestowed the powers of Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury all onto him, and he became Shazam. And he battles with Dr. Savannah. Thaddeus Savannah's in there, causing crazy stuff to happen. And this also has the Ibis first appearance and Golden Arrow's first appearance. So you get an Ibis story, a Golden Arrow story, and you get a little bit of the everyone's favorite naval sailor, Lance O'Casey, riding in the boat, man, and getting crazy. So Wiz Comics #2, man. One of the great books, probably this one and FF1 are the probably most prized grails in my collection, though.
And what just happened right there? He just smoked us. That was great. Oh my God. Robert, that was awesome.
I had to bring one that would really hook them, and I think I just took them. Look at that chat right now, man.
Yeah, gotta get in the chat really quick. We got Hialeah Comic Bro, my brother. Nice to see you. Sam Tangled Web, thank you so much for being here. Comic Minded, thank you so much. Rob Worst, heck yes, thank you for being here. Much love, you guys. We have Comic Core. Hey, how you doing, guys? Nice to see you. Thank you very much for being here. And who else? I think we got caught up. We are caught up. Yes, we are. There we go. Look at this. Look at this. You're getting all this love right now, buddy. Holy cow shit. Yeah, that's about it, Rob. Yeah, that was beautiful. Beautiful book. Awesome.
Fun story. I got that book back around 2013. One of my YouTube guys that always showed up in the chat, give me love, Mass Marvel, he said, Rob, your book's on eBay right now. And I was like, what book are you talking about? And he said, Wiz Comics #2. I was like, man, get out of here, man. There ain't that book out there. And then sure enough, it really was out there. And at the time, I had that kind of money, and I knew that I would probably never see that. I would never be able to get something like that. So I went there and I had to hook it, man. I had to get it.
Dude, that was beautiful. Beautiful. Hands down. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I like us all. I don't know. You like that or you like this?
I like it all, man. Anytime I get to spin inside the G spot, it's a great time for any man.
All right. I got a little special.
It was Copa. It was adults
I got
over
a special surprise for you in about 10 minutes, everybody, gentlemen. So,
oh boy.
Anyway, let's see. Jeff, do you have any questions about the Great Legend since he's here?
Yeah, I got one. What got him started on YouTube? What actually got him started?
All right, man. Well, Jeff, way back in the day in 2009, I was #3 in the world on Gears of War 2 on the Xbox 360. I was #9 on Grand Theft Auto 4. I had the 4th most commented video in YouTube, in the gaming side of YouTube. So I was really a hot shot gamer, talked a lot of trash, hated by all the other Xbox gamers. And so the video games got me on there, but then it was like one of those, and then the cooking, man, I got to admit, the Great Chef Show, one of the best, but that got me a lot of views and got me a lot of, and I'll talk a little bit about it later. It got me a lot of like fame that went to my head. You know what I mean? But something that kind of quieted me down was I started watching comic book videos. I just moved into this house. I was kind of getting all my stuff, and I was going through my comics, and I looked up comic books on YouTube, and I met this awesome guy named Captain Strangelove, and man, the rest is history, man. Captain Strangelove and some of his friends, they invited me into their community, and I just became one of the guys. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have to tell you, Legend, I love Captain Strangelove. He has got some awesome stuff that he does. His history and everything that he does is fantastic. I love when he does his tea and stuff. It's cool.
Anytime he has his beer, he has the funny little beer things.
He was doing his melt thing for a while. Melt bounce. That was great.
The great thing about Hans, Captain Strangelove, is when you watch him, sure, you get sucked in. I got sucked into his Amazing Spider-Man collection, 1 through 300. Of course, he had to show Amazing Fantasy 15 for a good measure. But you watch that stuff, and then you fall in love with not the books that he's showing, but you fall in love with those stories. You get to look at his history through his eyes, through pop culture, the way he grew up around it. You know, his parents coming over from Germany, and then as a young kid, you know, he's figuring out and getting all this Americana that he never had overseas or anything like that, but he just absorbed it all in. And man, he's just he's a legend, man. I love Hans, Captain Strangelove, man. Oh, guy.
Big time. Big time. So real quick, I got a little surprise guest coming on. I think you all know who's coming on. Come on in here, sweetheart. Miss G's coming on. You got to get on here.
Squishing.
Miss G. Happy
Miss G.
birthday again. This is your
Happy
birthday week.
birthday.
It is a birthday week. It has been
Happy
fantastic.
birthday.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I wanted to get on. I could not believe the outpouring of love I got from the comic book community for my birthday. It was so great. I had the phone die. It's like I started to get hoarse for a little while. I was talking to so many people. It was awesome.
And the great legend even called you.
And the great legend himself called me.
That was awesome.
That was great. I was serenaded. Yeah, very interesting.
Everybody in the community. I just have to say this.
I just must say, Mr. Sam's Tangled Web and his buddy Travis there. That song.
Yeah.
No,
What was that?
That was Sam.
Oh,
Don't you remember?
Yeah.
Sam was
okay.
doing a jiggy with it. It was
Sam,
great.
he's got the
That
mood.
was awesome.
Fantastic. Oh, so thank you, everybody in the chat, too. It's
Yes.
like, yes, I believe in birthday weeks. I can go with that. Okay, Kelly, you can get down for a minute.
So Miss G's got a couple of things she wants to show you that you got for her birthday.
Well, first, for
go ahead.
Scott, was it Scott?
Yes, Scott Farr.
Scott,
Real quick.
okay.
Yes.
It's fallen over, but I do have cake.
Right there. There you go.
Okay.
Homemade.
So good.
Homemade dark chocolate almond mocha with a Dutch chocolate marshmallow whip.
Wow, that tastes like it sounds good. It sounds like it tastes good.
Yeah, I'm drooling. Yeah, I'm drooling over here.
My
Biggie
birthday
Shack,
week,
thanks for coming, buddy. Sarah, thank you, sweetheart. Sarah's here.
Thank you, Sarah.
Ooh.
He twisted my arm a little bit, and I had to get a new toy.
She loves Deadpool.
I love Deadpool.
Awesome.
I watched Deadpool.
We watched
1
Deadpool on her
and 2
birthday
last night.
again, like the fourth time. Go ahead.
But in our adventures, we got some really good news.
Yes, tell him.
Very good news. We're gonna have our own LCS.
Oh, that's so cool.
We
Yeah,
are.
good.
It's only gonna be a half an hour away. It's in an area where we do our usual shopping, and
less than 20 miles.
yeah, fantastic. So the guy's getting set up. We'll be fully running in January, but I got a little preview and I got my first trade.
Nice. Oh my God. Beautiful.
So that's my
Nice.
very first. So I'm officially
And how many issues does it have in that book?
this 1 through 25.
Yep, 1 through 25. Show them again.
That is awesome.
Show it to him again. So she'll be able to get her a whole rundown on Incredible Hulk, Savage Shield. There you
Won't be her last.
go.
Won't be the last.
And show them the other one. This is
And then
interesting, you guys.
This was,
We like a little dark.
I asked him, it's like, okay, all these boxes, overwhelming. I don't know what I'm looking for. I need to learn. And he said, whatever speaks to you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Me and one of my friends, when we get really excited and something is like way better than a thumbs up and you want to scream, but it doesn't quite come out, it comes out a squee. And so I found this book.
I know that one.
I love the art on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
The art on it is great.
Show 'em the inside
And
a little bit.
inside,
It's black and white, but it's so cool. I mean, I couldn't believe
well, it's
Yeah.
not all like this. but
really hard to read that for the introduction, but the rest of show them the art a little
That's
bit.
going to be a challenge. in
I like that
itself.
sleep deprived introduction.
Yeah.
Oh my god, look at that like alien looking thing. That's
Yeah,
freaking
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
It's really
So-
cool.
Damn, that's awesome.
Just a look
Mhm.
into the twisted mind of Mrs. G. Spot Galvin.
Ah, I love that.
That's
You're
what
awesome.
speaks to me.
And just so you know, so you're aware of it, she's the one that came up with the name.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
name. Good name.
And I proudly wear the badge of Mrs. G. Spot. That is awesome.
Hell yeah.
Real quick shout out to the chat, really quick. Downright Nerdy Podcast. Thank you, brother, for being here. Comics with Bueller. Thank you so much, Travis, for being here. Appreciate it, you guys. Who Dat Comics and Movies is in the chat. Thank you so much, you
Oh, my
guys.
goodness. Everybody, see, the party continues.
Yeah.
So, do you have any questions for Legend? I always have my
Do I
standard.
have any
Do you have any questions for Legend?
Legend?
Yes. This is an honor.
Who came up with your standard questions?
I did, and you did.
Yeah.
See?
It's
Always-
always a group
always keep me-
effort
keep
here.
me in check.
It's all right. Well, I mean, family life. How do
Yeah.
you, Mr. Legend? How do
Yeah.
you balance?
I got my wife, I got my two kiddos. We've been married since like a long time, like 21 years, and enjoying the life. And whenever we first started dating, she knew I had collectibles. I had like Laurel and Hardy. I had like Three Stooges stuff. I had not as many comics as I have now, but I had some comics. So she knew what she was getting into, some video games and stuff like that. And then, we have two boys, 15 and 11. And of course, they got addicted to the video games and reading, not so much comics. They do read some graphic novels, but they love that stuff. But, I kind of hit a point when I was doing the video gaming and, the fame kind of hit me. I talked about this a little earlier. I hit my 2,000 subs right at about the 2-year mark or so. And I was on top of the world, but I was doing more YouTube stuff. I always, kind of say this is fun, but very first guy in the YouTube comic book community to do a solo live show, very first guy to be a part of a group live show way back in the old days. And I was doing more of the YouTube stuff and comic book stuff than I was hanging out with my wife or family. And that led to a lot of fights and some, I'm proud to say this, trips to wedding counselor, because there was that disconnect between, our family, because I was so, into the YouTube and the views and the subs and the thumbs up. And then, I was getting some pretty good money back then too on YouTube. But yeah, I had to kind of put a halt on it. And, things just started happening. Truth started being shown to me in mysterious ways as well. And so then I was able to balance it a lot better. And then instead of doing things for myself, I decided to do more for the community by becoming a part of, Blaster Stash It, Comic-Core, so many great live shows, and kind of focusing more on others than I was focusing on myself. And by doing that, I stopped doing a lot of stuff on my own channel, or, few and far between. I may throw a video up. I always say, Discovery Bay Comics says, well, let me know when you're going to go live. I'll put it on the one channel guide. But I always say, I usually let fate decide, when I feel like I want to go live, and then I just shoot a video. But that's an excellent question, Miss G, that, family, and J Hood Creative says this in his videos too, that, you want to keep family, well, God first, or what your faith beliefs are, and then, family, and then all the other stuff comes later,
Absolutely. Great answer.
That was beautiful. That was awesome.
Thumbs up from Cullen, too.
Yeah. Good boy.
I love seeing that dog. That's a good looking dog there.
Say
Cute.
hi.
Say hi.
Hello, buddy.
Show Sam. Show him hi. Come on, you can
Say
do it.
hi.
Do
I
hi.
don't know. He's doing it.
I love
He's
that.
doing it.
Give him a good one.
Give him a good one.
Give him a good one.
Good
Say
one.
hi. He's
Good one.
like, no.
Come on, good one.
He knows that piece of cake is sitting here.
That nose, his nose is following the scent.
His eye, he's turning his head, and his eye is going down towards the cake. He's like, "Forget you guys."
I thought comic books were a form of therapy. They are, Rob.
They are.
And downright, yes, family first. Very right there, downright. Michael, absolutely.
Doesn't mean that the comic stuff can't be a family
Yep.
enterprise, though. You know.
Yeah, we did. My wife's more into audiobooks, but she has read some trades before. She read some of my Six Gun by Cullen Bunn. Great, weird Western kind of a sci-fi type horror Western. And my oldest son used to read Penguins of Madagascar and SpongeBob comics. My youngest, though, he really likes those thicker they're like little hardcovers of but they're comics, they're graphic novels, but he prefers those over single issues. So they get their little taste of art and the writing and stuff like that.
Good to be well-rounded.
Exactly.
My puppy say squirrel.
Here we go, really quick.
DNP loves your dog, and he also loves Bueller's cool cat named Nipples.
Nipples.
Freaking awesome combo.
I have to say, Rob, when I first came across you, it was all about, I was talking to Ms. G about it, and it was a couple of years ago, because you've been around for roughly 10 years or more.
Yeah, a little over 10 years now.
Yeah. I came across you before comics. You were doing a review on hard drive.
Oh, snap.
It was a little white portable hard drive, and I bought it because of your review.
Thank you so much.
I still have it. It still works. It's on my Xbox, and it was great. But it was the best review. I went through tons of reviews, and yours smashed it. You told exactly what it was about. That's how I came across you. Then all of a sudden, I noticed your cooking videos, and you were going on from there, and you did a few other ones, and it was fun. Then all of a sudden, comic books came up, and I'm like, holy crap, what am I doing? I was asking her about it. Man, and then what I really like about you, Legend, and this is just, my personal feeling, I love it when you tell your truth videos because it's your perspective and it's how you see it. Because a lot of people see things a different way, and people interpret things different ways. And you try to speak the truth about what's going on in society, about social media and stuff like that. And me and Ms. G are really, firm believers in a lot of that stuff. It's like,
I love that
see
stuff.
what's in your face. Don't be, and it's funny because you used one of the words I mentioned the other day, being sheeple.
Yeah, those sheeple.
Yeah, oh man, I just say sheeple. I use that all the time. You can ask Jeff. Don't be a sheeple. Be yourself.
One of the favorite movies I like is, y'all have probably seen this. It's John Carpenter's They Live with Roddy Piper. And it's such an old school movie, but a lot of the stuff in that movie. Oh, yeah.
Nice. Let's see
that one. Oh, yeah. His Big Trouble in Little China.
Nice.
Jeff. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
They battle against Lo Pan. Dude,
Yeah.
that movie's
Actually,
awesome.
met Lopan.
You did. Oh shit! Synchronicity. I said Lo Pan. I did not. I swear to Jeff, I did not see that picture in the background. That is awesome.
I actually met him.
And Synchronicity, you are wearing the same shirt, dude. See, that's how this digital reality works, man. It's like if you take the time to look and read in between the lines of reality, shit just starts clicking in your head, and you can see stuff that people don't notice out there because they're following Baby Yoda or whatever the gimmick is, on Twitter. No offense, Baby Yoda, cute animal or whatever, or alien.
But like they said, it looks like a gremlin and a Yoda had a baby. That's what it looks like.
I mean, the comic book that they did was cool, but I'm like, why? Why? Really?
Yeah, man. That's how it is. Like, and then when I look at the old Roddy Piper They Live, you can kind of see when he puts the shades on, he's finally seeing things in a different perspective. Yep. He's seeing things that all those aliens are seeing. And even the aliens are trying to have, lead the aliens, buy this fruit, buy this vegetable, so the aliens are buying all their stuff. And Piper could see both sides of the coin, which is really cool. And that's kind of what I do. I kind of just take the time to look at something a different way than everyone else is looking at it. And then if you, like I said, if you take the time to look between the lines of reality, you really will learn something, and you could figure out what some of the things like big government or big Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or some of these tech guys are trying to do to the general masses. They're trying to like throw these little bait, it's like they're fishing for you with their bait, and they're trying to reel you into whatever gimmick they're trying to sell you. So it's very interesting. I love doing the research like that too.
Oh yeah, so do we. And it's like a lot of people just don't care, they just don't see it. It's like we mentioned it earlier. It's like, just wait until 2030 gets here.
Oh yeah.
There's going to be a mega. You're looking at look how technology has changed in like the last 50 years. Really quick. Everybody takes takes advantage of what we got now.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeff, do you get another question for a great legend? Because I got a few.
Yeah, I got one.
Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I got one. Where did Great Legend come up with his name?
Damn, that's some good ass stuff right there. This was during my gaming days. We played Gears of War 2, and I was just doing some amazing things. Like, it's hard to explain because I can't show you that game, but there was a weird way I'd hold the controller to do different things in Gears of War 2, where I would be able to. All my teammates would die, and there would be 4 on the other side of the team, or 5, whichever. It depended on which game. 4 players on Gears 1. I think it was 5 on Gears 2. But I would what would happen, and this goes into that Great Legend persona, like being the best, showing everyone up, being the best and just taking names. But what I would do, whenever all my teammates died, their camera would be on my player. So I knew they would all be watching me. And like one of my favorite basketball players, the 1980 Showtime LA Lakers Magic Johnson, I knew it was Showtime because their eyes were on the Great Legend. And so what I would do is I'd take my pistol and I'd kind of start teabagging the wall in crouch position, because I knew they were all laughing their butts off. And then I'd go out there and then I would do a little roll, and all I would have was the pistol, because the pistol, it would take 2 melee hits with the pistol and it would down the opponent. And when you down the opponent, you can do a curb stomp or finish them or whatever. But what I would do, I'd do something called circle strafe. It's kind of where you hold both sticks to where you're constantly circling your target. And with my index finger, most people use the index finger to pull the trigger. My index finger would rest sideways on the Xbox's B button. Yeah. So I would mash it down sideways. So as I circled around the opponent, I would just smack them with that pistol. And I would get behind them and smack them so they would go down. And then I created something called the double down pistol beat down or something like that, where I would let them, they could revive themselves. I would let them get back up. I'm still circling around. I'm kind of just ring around the rosy or playing duck, duck, goose. I smack them down a couple more times, and I just do all that crap. And I'd usually finish the team off. Then there was the double. Like I said, the double down was when I had 2 guys, and it was like playing those Donkey Kong drums. I'd hit both of them and kind of skip around them. It looks really stupid, but it actually was awesome. And then another one was Grand Theft Auto 5, not 5, Grand Theft Auto 4. I was 9th place in the world in the online, and we would do a lot of co-op on that. And you could see the videos on that. It's just really weird, but flying the chopper. And then the one I was most famous for, and this was already had the name, and my friends would call me the Great Legend, during this time. And then I just kind of started absorbing it, taking it in, the hot shot and like I said, the fame shit got to me a lot. And then I would just start calling myself the Great Legend. I was also watched wrestling all my life. So you kind of got to see, you have a lot of shows in the comic book community, which are awesome because they take wrestling personas and then they put them into the context of showing off comic books. Well, when I was doing video games, that's all the Great Legend was in 2009. Right. He was just a pro wrestler, which, by the way, I didn't go to wrestling school. Almost did. My aunt and dad, they were just totally against it, so I didn't go. But they had Texas Championship Wrestling. I did want to go, but so yeah, I did all that, talking trash and doing the persona thing, and then it just kind of clicked, and then I just kept it. And the cool thing is, if you have a name and you have a brand on YouTube, you can ask the big channels. And Robert Galvin, when I type in the G-Spot Robert Galvin or the G-Spot Galvin or the G-Spot Comics on Google, you're like at the top of the list.
Are you serious?
Yeah, pretty much. You're like one or two. You're right up there. So when anyone types in 2 words, all they got to type in on Google.com, they type in Great Legend, my name will come up, usually at number 1, sometimes number 2, it all depends. But as long as you just believe in yourself and you live the gimmick. Now I was living the gimmick a little too much, and the wife got pretty pissed. But as long as you do that stuff and you believe in your brand and you reach out to your audience, I mean, they're gonna come back at you tenfold,
Right.
So it's mainly the Great Legend does come from friends calling me that, but the people that made the Great Legend wasn't myself. It was all those 4,000 plus subscribers that I have. Those are the people that have loved me, that have cherished me, that have watched what I do for the past 10 years. And that's really the only reason why I do it anymore, is just give back to them and show them how much I do appreciate them.
So everything you just said, Legend, which is really cool. You were in retirement for a while and you came out of retirement. Why?
It's like Al Pacino or like, not Al Pacino. It's like Sil on when he did the, well, I guess it was Godfather 3. Sil from Sopranos was imitating Michael Corleone from Godfather 3. Is like, whenever, you do want out of it for a while, because you do get kind of burnt out. I still love it. I mean, but it's hard sometimes, you work all day and then you sit in this chair and my back, is not the best. That's why I had to quit doing the auctions. But, you start to kind of hurt and you start to feel bad. And if you're physically not feeling it, I mean, it's like a basketball player that gets old in life, except Vince Carter. Vince Carter, he's going to play forever. But, your mind can do it. Peyton Manning's mind is always on point, but his body, the physicality of it, he can't do anymore. And you say, well, physicality, all you're doing there is sitting, running your damn mouth about YouTube or comics. But it's an emotional, mental chore. It's like a mental aspect, because I sometimes say this mind can see 5 seconds into the future, because that's how I create so many rhymes in the nick of time to keep on going on down the line, checking the chat, because that's where it's at. Because, and it just keeps on going and going. But because it's kind of like old Real Player back in the day, when the Real Player used to do the buffering, you would have to wait for it to download. But I was actually able to read what was already in the future 5 seconds ahead of time before it got there. But yeah, so I came out of retirement mainly for my Comic Core brothers and sisters, and I love doing that. And I wanted to, my main goal was, to get them over, that hump.
Sure.
Not that I'm like hot shit or anything. It's the group that gets over, but any kind of little thing that I can do to help that group get over, that's what I wanted to do, because I want them to grow and succeed. And I really love, Chad, Carson, Cat, Drew, all of the Comic Core, all the shows, Golden Guys, the Monday night show, the Crazy Greatest Show on Earth on Wednesday. It's kind of like a P.T. Barnum thing they got going on. Thursday, Outside the Issues, and Monday show, which is Modern Men. I mean, all of those shows, what is really cool, especially with Carson and Cat Wren, when I watch them, they're younger than me, and I give love to the people that were here before me in time, like you too, Robert, you and Mrs. G.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all were here before me, in front of me. I'm not going to say any years or anything, but the knowledge y'all have is from decades that I was not alive in. So I take those seeds that they plant, and then I'll plant those seeds to the people that are 10 years younger than me or even younger. And then when I see them grow into the YouTube personalities they are, like Carson reminds me so much of myself when I started doing live shows. Cat Wren on some of those reviews, the simple act of just no ritzy ditzy stuff, no images on the screen, but just holding the comic book and talking about what that comic book meant to her as she read it is such an intriguing thing to listen to, because I may not read a lot of the Wonder Woman comics, but I know I can listen to Cat Wren talk Wonder Woman, and she's so popular with the Wonder Woman that DC fans, like DC's own, like one of their own YouTube affiliate channels, use Cat Wren to review the brand new Wonder Woman comics that come out every month. So I mean, like you kind of look at the past and you look at the present and you look at the future. It's kind of like, Ebenezer Scrooge and the Christmas Carol, that little storyline. You can kind of put that storyline in your head and see all of your journey through not only through your YouTube life. I always talk about the race of life in one of my truth videos, but you can kind of run that race of life. And when you look back, when you do reach your finish line, when the legend's all out of time, one of these days I'm going to be all out of time. But when I look back and I see all the things that I've been able to see and all the lives that I've been able to change, mainly, you know, my wife and children, I want them to have the best qualities of me, but not the ones that are the shitty qualities, you know, but I want them to hold those. And that's what I aspire to be with the comic book community. I want them to see the best of me and not remember me for some of maybe the more bad decisions I may have made. So that's what it's all about, man.
I'll tell you one thing, Legend. You made a good decision coming back.
Ah, man, I couldn't stay away, man.
No.
I love y'all too much, man.
You have that voice. You have that distinct voice. You got that radio announcing voice, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any more questions? Because I got a couple more I want to ask Legend.
Go ahead, Robert. He answered most of mine.
It's pretty much the standard ones really quick. Legend. All right, here we go.
Man, let me just say this background has some red hair, but the red hair in the background, Robert Galvin, it ain't Mrs. G's red hair, baby. And that's the hair you can reach out and touch, man. And that's the best thing. I want to say something real quick, Robert. Yep. The best thing about us men who have these women in our lives, these women, Mrs. G, Mrs. Legend in there, they are the foundation of us men. They are the ones that make us look better. Without them, and no offense to all the single guys in the chat room, but I mean, get yourself a good, strong woman that could look after you and, you know, kind of nourish you along, even though you're nourishing them, but they're also nourishing you as well. So Mrs. G, man, thank you so much for letting, giving us, Robert Galvin and giving us that time on social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and just, giving us him, man, because we, from the deep down, Miss G, I love you for that. And I love Galvin and Jeff Comic 813. Yeah. Damn, you're giving it all the time too. Jeff on his own channel, I've seen him rolling with the folks on there, man. So just both all three of you and that lovely dog, phenomenal freaking jobs,
Thanks.
I can hear that, Cullen.
Okay, here we go.
Cullen is a house.
So,
Here we go.
Cullen.
Oh, yeah, what was the question? I'm sorry, Robert.
No, you're good, brother. You're good. That was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
You find that
Thank
again.
you.
No, thank you so much, Legend. And I just want to say it's not a matter of me being his wife and allowing him to do. It's like we are a team here. We're definitely a team.
And
when you told me about this comic book shop, I was like, damn. That's what I'm talking about. That
in everything we do. So it's a
better,
here.
For better or for worse. Just make sure you sell some Fantastic Fours.
Yeah. So my question now, you pretty much are nailing this, Legend, but here you go, bro. I'm going to put you up here really quick. Hold on. And put your little logo on here. And here we go. Where is it? Where is it?
There.
Okay, first one. There you go.
Oh, man.
What does thinking outside of the box mean to you, brother?
Man, that is a good freaking question. I got to take a little drink for this one. Me personally, ever since 2016, my buddy William Thorg, one of the future truth guys, of the comic book community, he introduced me to something called the Mandela effect. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I didn't know what that stuff was or any of this kind of crazy stuff. And I found he told me some things, and I don't want to go too deep into it because it's really like heavy. Yep. And it's really Grant Morrison like too. But I kind of started just thinking outside the box more and I quit taking things for granted, like the things that we have, the cell phones, the technology, the internet, the TV. I actually was going outside more and stuff, which was kind of weird because I'm such a gamer and homebody, but it really got me thinking, how you could take, I have certain religious beliefs, but I respect other people's beliefs in whatever they believe in, because you'll pick out things that they've learned through their time on the earth, and then you'll pick them up and then you'll run with them as they're your own, because you know about different things. And so when I learned a little bit from him, it helped me think outside the box a lot more. When it comes to comic books, we see a lot of people get the previews magazines, and they'll look in the magazines to see about all the cool stuff that's coming out. You know, a lot of House of X, a lot of New Mutants, a lot of X-Men book primarily, and some Absolute Carnages, a lot of good cosmic stuff, a lot of Donny Cates stuff, all kinds of things that just happen. And you see these things, and then you see other YouTube channels and they're all going after all this stuff. But then you ask the question, why are they going after this stuff? And then so I kind of like look at the book and I'll say, well, Marvel, it seems like Marvel's giving full page spreads to House of X, to New Mutants, a lot of the mutant stuff. Of course, Deadpool's always a kick-ass character. Wolverine, I see Wolverine drop off a little, but Deadpool's really freaking hot. So is, of course, Avengers Endgame and all that. But you kind of look at it and you say, why is Disney/Marvel pushing these so much when Fantastic Four is getting a lonely paragraph in the book, and I love Fantastic Four. But that's the thing. So, you try to Green Lantern by Grant Morrison, not really. I mean, I love Grant Morrison, the writer, basically, but I also love Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. But you kind of look at those things, and then you'll start reading them. And then that's why, another guy that I grew up, even though I was 30, 40, whatever, 32, and Hippies Collectibles, he always told me, he said, collect what you like, love what you collect. So, of course, I go to Fantastic Four, Green Lantern, or the odd Dark Shadows if I can ever find them, or the odd Jonah Hexes, and that's the kind of stuff I like to read. So I don't let Society or Diamond Previews magazine or Disney tell me what I should be watching or what I shouldn't be watching, but that's another thing people will eventually find out for themselves when they start slowing down time and just looking in between and kind of reading it. But man, I tell you what, man, those Jonah Hexes, oh, freaking violent. Chester Gould over here been writing. Well, he's not writing anymore, gone too soon. I think 1980 something or rather, but 1931 with Dick Tracy. Oh my God. Like the villains in Dick Tracy, they would capture people. They would blow torch a dude's foot to get information. I'm like, I was like, damn, this is pretty good stuff. I mean, pretty violent, but yeah. So it's always good to think outside the box. And sure, I mean, I wouldn't be doing YouTube if people didn't watch me, but I try to show them things that they wouldn't normally be getting. If everyone else is buying like New Mutants or some mutant books, I'll tell them about, hey, New Mutants are cool. Drew Manchu, he loves New Mutants, and my dad really loves X-Men. I'm not as X-Men as my dad, but I'll tell them about Green Lantern, how Grant Morrison's writing this phenomenal story that reminds me of a golden age sci-fi pulp classic in the style of a Buck Rogers. I mean, that Hal Jordan that Grant Morrison's writing, in my mind, it's 1978, and I'm watching Gil Gerard, Aaron Gray, Princess Amidala, Little Tweety, with Mel Blanc's voice. I'm getting a little bit of my childhood. And I'm like, this is some great stuff right here.
Do you not agree, Legend? That's kind of the thing that people are missing out of this stuff. That's like the Golden Age books and stuff. Like when you were mentioning that stuff, just that's a piece of history.
That history with them.
And even when you read it and you go back and read some of those books, you think of your childhood like right away. And people look at us like, oh, you're just old. But no, they don't get it. They don't get it. They get all this art in their face, and that's it.
And if it wasn't for us, where would nostalgia currently be? Where would that pop culture be? And of course, we see it on social media, but it all derives from us, and we are the fans. We're the ones that keep those stories alive because they're entwined in our brains. They're entwined in our hearts. And man, we got to tell like as many people as we can tell, because we don't want comic books and pop culture to die out or to become some, money hungry grabbing Mickey Mouse club. You know what I mean?
Exactly right. That was phenomenal, brother. Phenomenal. Now, my last question for you, and we can just talk about random whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Here we go. Last one is, have any inspirational thoughts or ideas for the community?
All right. Well, my inspirational thoughts, the old school legend would be, go on over. If you haven't subscribed, youtube.com/RDowdy95, your home for comics, cooking, gaming, and the truth. And you're going to find it there all the time. You just got to be aware in the mind. But no, that's a little cheap plug. So that was called, for all you wrestling fans, that's called going into business for yourself, trying to get yourself over when you ought to get back and give it to the community. But no, for the community, just, don't be, sucked in. Like if you see everyone buying a Hulk 181 and you don't have the money right away for Hulk 181, buy the facsimile, buy the dollar edition Hulk 181, or buy the reprint. And then if you're collecting the whole Hulk run, you put that 181 facsimile in between your 180. Well, you may not have 180 yet either, but no, in between your box, and then you can go get it on the flip side. So never be like, alarmed or think that just because you don't have a shiny new pair of red Converse that, you can't affect someone's life a different way in the comic book community. That was a classic. Kids always wanted those Chuck Taylor high tops. And then, we didn't have the money to buy those, but that was okay, because you should not be defined by the shoes you wear. You shouldn't be defined on what kind of comics you have. You may not have 9.8 collection. You may have 2.0s and lower, or even the restoreds, or a green slab that has maybe a Marvel stamp missing. Don't worry about what other people think. Like Hippies Collectible says, you collect what you like, you love what you collect, because when you love what you collect, you'll be able to express yourself much better than what you would be if you're trying to follow the rest of the flock. And that's what we say, the sheeple, man. Don't be a sheeple, be a shepherd. Lead people in the right direction and let them know some of the kick-ass things that you have to show. And know and show, that rhyme too, but I was thinking ahead. I love that shit, man. And what's funny is sometimes when I'm rhyming, my wife gets pissed because I didn't even know I was doing it. And she'll say, stop with your rhyme. It's like, I didn't fucking rhyme. But then she's like, yes, you did. And the kids are like, yes, you did, Dad. You just did this and this. I was like, well, shit, I don't know. I'm just talking, It's just natural, That's it. Just be natural. Don't go for any, additive bullshit. Go organic, man. Have some good shit. Don't put bad shit in your life, Oh, and a big shout out to Comics on the Mind with the best looking little picture of Ben Grimm with the stogie. That's awesome.
It was great.
One of my favorite, probably my most favorite Marvel character of all time. While old Billy Batson, Captain Marvel's my favorite. That guy of all time. Yeah, there he is. And okay, so DC, yes, he's throwing a car, he wears a cape, but when Wiz Comics outsells Action Comics, where Wiz Comics was the first one, Action Comics, they created Superman comics, Detective Comics with issue 27, that guy the detective that dressed up like a bat, they created his own solo comic, which was Batman. But if you think about it, Wiz Comics, they did it first because they wanted more Captain Marvel, aka Shazam. So they created Captain Marvel Adventures. And during those days with this book, more kids bought that book because they identified with Billy Batson, because they were kids that were reading the comics. They weren't old ass guys that worked for the Daily Planet like George Reeves, or they weren't, the guy dressing up in the bat suit, which, by the way, in the 30s, that hooded cowl reminded a lot of people about a pretty bad Klan. I don't know, the KKK Klan, So a lot of parents were saying, oh, you want to read about, Captain Marvel? That's great. So, that's what got him on board. And of course, they sold more copies than DC. DC got a little hurt. And then I think it was in 1952 or 53, they decided to make sure that they Fawcett Publications quit publishing the Captain Marvel family in those books. And of course, with that, Fawcett, dwindled away. And then of course, DC bought him in 1973. Robert Galvin, I hope you have a copy of this, but DC got the rights back with that book right there.
Yes, I do.
That's a good one. They could not use the name Captain Marvel because there was a very smart guy. I think y'all have heard of him. He created a lot of, he was the reason that Timely went to Atlas. And I say in time, Atlas is, if you've heard of Atlas, it was the god that held the world on his back. Yep. So they had Timely. And when it was time, this guy was, almost ready to put the world on his back. And when he did in November of 1961, he was basically, Stan Lee was the guy that created that Marvel Age of Comics, you know, that led in where it took all of those human characterizations. How is the Fantastic Four, this family, how are they going to pay for rent? How is this guy that got acid thrown in his eyes? How is he going to become a lawyer? Will he give up? How about the guy that studied gamma rays? Just some simple scientist, shit gone awry. Then he, you know, got Lou Ferrigno'd. You know, all those characters. You look at the X-Men and you look at how during the civil rights movement, the mutants were kind of like how African Americans were being treated. You look at that. You look at Magneto more so as he didn't want to be like Dr. Martin Luther King, aka Charles Xavier. He wanted to be more like Malcolm X. You know, he wanted to take violence in his own hands. They gonna mess with us. Brotherhood of Mutants is going to mess with them. And all those kind of characters, those Marvel Age characters, Spider-Man. How's this poor young kid? His uncle just passed away. How can he help his, you know, aunt, you know, survive? Of course, he goes and gets a job as a photographer when, you know, what the uncle said, the classic, with great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility. And when you look at that, he took those words and instead of doing the cheap way out, instead of being a member of the Sinister Six or whatever, being a bad guy, Peter, you know, got him a job. Hell, he even wrestled a little bit. I mean, Bonesaws ready. I mean, everyone's seen that classic movie, but that was the cool thing. So anyway, back to my thing. So Stan Lee, smart man, he created the Kree, the Captain Marvel Kree warrior, and took that name.
Miss G missed the first part of that when you showed that earlier, the book.
Yes.
Explain the history to Miss G and everybody else out there about this book.
So this book here, there's a lot of history behind this book. At the time, this is Wiz Comics #2, but in the little parentheses, you'll see the #1. And the thing is, there was an issue before this. It was called an ash can. An ash can is a black and white comic issue, which was kind of like a previews issue, and it had two names. One of the names it had was Thrill Comics, and it had a guy on the cover taking some bullets like this. Really cool cover, very expensive item. And his name was Captain Thunder. Captain Thunder was his name. And then they had another one that said Flash Comics #1. Now they really wanted Flash Comics. They couldn't get Thrill Comics. They wanted Flash Comics. I think DC also put in a patent or something for Flash Comics, but actually, you know, it was DC that got it. Marvel wanted the Flash Comics, but I think Marvel went ahead and did Marvel Comics. And I think that was the first appearance of, well, it was timely, but they had Marvel Comics as the first appearance of the Android Human Torch. And they sold a 9.4 black pedigree at the Dallas auction close to me, Heritage. But DC took Flash Comics 1, and they had Jay Garrick, of course. But then, so Robert Parker, I think that was his name. All the names I get confused. Billy Parker, yeah, Billy Parker, who wrote for Fawcett. He, Bill Parker's story. I should have just looked at the shit on here. But they created Wiz Comics, and so they used that story and altered that story just a little, the Captain Thunder story, and created this issue 2, and it was Captain Marvel. And that's Wiz Comics #2. This is also the first appearance of Thaddeus Savannah, his classic evil guy that y'all seen him in the movie. If y'all seen the Shazam movie, Golden Arrow and Ibis, that's their first appearance. And we had, well, actually, you got first appearance. Oh my God! See, I learn things every day. I didn't know this was Lance O'Casey's first appearance, but basically, Lance O'Casey was this classic Navy kind of storyline. He was always on a boat. So this had a lot of first appearances in it because it was Fawcett's first kind of superhero comic, you know. So a very it's a restored comic, but it was professionally restored. I mean, 7.5 professionally restored. This thing is freaking amazing. I had to get it, man. It was one of those things my dad talked about when I was a kid, because I thought as a kid in the 90s, and, you know, not knowing too much about Captain Marvel other than the Saturday morning TV show, which was, it was cool. You know, it did have some good morals, but it was kind of god awful at the same time. But, you know, you got that guy that banged those bands together, Captain Marvel. So I thought that was Captain Marvel. But my dad was like, no, that one they call Shazam, that's the original Captain Marvel. That's my guy. So then I kind of started getting more into that character. And, oh, my God, through the years, that character just, he keeps getting better and better. I don't know. I think he's getting better with age, old Billy Batson and the power of Shazam and stuff.
So, Legend, how are your kids about how are your kids when it comes to your collecting and stuff? What have they took from it?
Well, they both, the most important thing, they see my love and the passion for the reading first. I've always been a reader first, but when I get that book and after I'm done reading it, I'll bag it and board it. And, you know, I got smartened up to the business later in life from Captain Strangeleft, telling me about the Mylar. And then I got a lot of Mylar and stuff, and no going back. I just had I did the, you know, me and Jimmy Palmiotti, we're friends on Twitter, and he writes, you know, with his wife, Amanda Connor, the Harley Quinn DC stuff, Birds of Prey, stuff like that. But I fell in love with Jimmy Palmiotti because he did this amazing Jonah Hex run. He did New 52 All-Star Western. And so he was on Twitter. He saw an All-Star Western review I did years ago, and he thought it was cool, and he follows me on Twitter. I was like, holy shit, some guy like that following a little old legend here. And then I follow him, and he was bagging and boarding some books. And Galvin, I had to get him, man. I said, is that my, he said, I'm bagging and boarding some books. I said, is that Mylar you're using? And he says, yes. And all I said was, good man. And I gave him a thumbs up.
Nice.
But yeah, I love that stuff. But yeah, so the kids, you know, they love reading. It's crazy though. They read so many like books, like chapter books and stuff like that. And I do work at a library, so I've always got books at my fingertips to check out, bring home, let them read, and then we take back, and that saves on space in their rooms. But when they come in here and they see all this stuff, like we got 33% of it cleaned, a lot of it's not sorted. I got Post-it notes on all these drawer boxes, and I'll do a tour one of these days when I get clean. They just kind of stay away from it. They do know, there's some expensive ones, but I try not to, you know, talk about the money books. You know, the great legend in the community, you'll hear this term thrown around. You'll hear the Howler Mouse created a term years ago in the comic book community called Holy Grail, and we still use it to this day. You'll hear that book, a word or a phrase that I created back in the day called big boy books. You hear that one, and I always call those big boy books. And of course, if you have the books in the 5 figures, those are your granddaddy's books. Or actually I think they're the big daddy, and then the granddaddies would be your Action 1 or, you know, some insane thing like that. But so I don't really do much about that. I do tell them when my time is up here, I hope they love to read Fantastic Four. Otherwise, I mean, it's Dark Shadows, Jonah Hex, you know, I hope they're into vampires and cowboys, you know.
That's the one thing that's really cool is the see the more right behind him over there, who that is. It's hard to
put it on the big screen. Put it on the big screen.
I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do
Put it on the big screen.
This is Jonathan Frid, and it is a portrait of Barnabas Collins. That was the portrait that hung so many years in Collinwood, all the way from the 1790s up until even the 1980s, because they did a freaking phenomenal. Dan Curtis, the guy that created the series, he did this phenomenal, this is the best storylines. A lot of the storylines were from classic horror. Pit and the Pendulum, you'll see David Selby, Quentin Collins. I think he was even partially shirtless. The girls loved the guy, so they had to show some skin. But all these little things, was it the Turn of the Shrew? The one where Edgar Allan Poe bricked this guy behind a wall. All of that stuff. Even Frankenstein's monster and the Bride of Frankenstein. Of course, Barnabas is basically a Bela Lugosi type. But in the end, I mean, it had so many great little stories, and that portrait, man, it always hung in that main foyer at Collinwood. So what that was, it's a printed out canvas, and what I did, it came rolled, but I went to the Michaels and I stapled it to a frame, and then I got that cool, just an old timey looking frame for it. And just to kind of make it authentic. Of course, this isn't the full size. This is like an 18, maybe a 24-inch by 18-inch. And I just kind of made it work. But yeah, I just love kind of stuff like that. I love being introduced. I first started watching Dark Shadows on PBS as a child. I didn't know, I was so young at the time. They were doing reruns. Jonathan Frid, this is the 1980s. So Jonathan Frid was already 10 to 15 years older than what he looked like here, but he would do commercials on PBS talking about this show called Dark Shadows, you know, pay some money here and, you know, support, kind of like how we do donations on YouTube, you know, to keep creating and doing stuff and bringing stuff, you know, donations help, and donations help PBS show Dark Shadows. So I started watching the show, and I only saw bits and pieces. I never did see him bite any of the ladies on there. But my dad walked in on me one time, and he saw me watching that show, and my dad taught American history for 30 years, and when he was down in South Texas, he remembers the story of junior high kids in 66 to 71. They would run out of school to get home just in time to watch that 30-minute episode of Dark Shadows on network television. I believe it was I want to say NBC was showing it or something, but yeah, I fell in love with that. And then I realized in maybe 2013, they released this coffin set of DVDs with all 1,225 episodes in this beautiful coffin. And I haven't ever done a video on it. I need to, but I'm trying to read some comics. But when you open up the coffin, all of the DVDs are kind of sideways, and on the artwork is Jonathan Fridz laying in this coffin. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. And I wish I would have been the first 300, because they came with a signed Jonathan Frid autograph. I was the first 300, but I was able to get all the episodes, and it took me about 3 years to watch them all. I have a little Zenith DVD player that I lay in the bed with, and I watch DVDs on there. So, you know, I know a lot of people do 4K Blu-ray, regular Blu-ray, but I still get a lot of DVDs because I can watch my DVDs in my bed on my little player, and I watched all 1,225 episodes.
Wow.
My dad says you have no life. I was like, dude, when you're a vampire, you have eternal life. You know, I'd always get him.
Love it. Yeah.
Love it. All vampire fans here, you know that.
Oh, they're
I agree.
awesome.
Horror.
Love me some vampires.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Vampirilla.
Yeah.
Damn, is that a Vampirilla?
Here we
Oh,
go.
there we
Here we
go.
go. Here we go. Yes, Jeff. Yes.
That's Jimmy Palmiotti too. Jimmy Palmiotti wrote the Vengeance in 95, 97, something like that.
Freaking awesome, Jeff, dude. I did not know Palmiotti did some Vampirilla back in the days.
Oh, and Grant Morrison too.
Oh,
yeah. Grant Morrison did some.
those.
So, yeah.
I love that stuff, man.
Grant Morrison did
I don't
some.
have a lot of Vampirilla. I do want to get the Vampirilla Dark Shadows crossover, and I want to some libraries out there, if you a part of your public library. Now, Vampirilla, she may not be on the shelf, you know, because I mean, little kids and all, but look, some libraries have digital apps that they give for free to library card holders, and we have one called Comics Plus for a library edition.
Right.
They have quite a bit of the Dynamite Entertainment stuff, and I know they have the Vampirilla Dark Shadows one. I need to see if they have more Vampirilla, but I definitely need to read more Vampirilla. My coworkers say I need to read Mike Mignolia's Hellboy, because my dad loves the Hellboy, Ron Perlman.
Really
I need to start reading the Hellboy though.
really, really good.
Well, Mrs. G needs to get started reading, but I had promised myself that a little birthday gift to myself. I am a addict to the Amazon original show, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah, my wife too. She loves Miss Maisel.
I've been dying because it premiered on Friday and I haven't watched it yet. So
All right, well, no spoilers. I've already seen maybe 2 episodes. I don't watch all the episodes. I just, when I'm laying in there reading, I've been reading Crisis on Infinite Earths, but it's hard because, you know, Marv Wolfman and Perez is pretty good, but Miss Maisel's fucking funny. You know?
Yes.
it's hilarious. So on that note, I'm going to let you guys continue.
Okay, just say goodnight really quick.
Yes, say good night to everybody. And again,
Everybody in
thank
the
you,
chat.
everybody in the chat, for showing
Community.
up, and community, and all the birthday wishes again were overwhelming. And again, Sam,
Sam
I
Tangle Web.
cannot wait to give you a big hug.
Yeah.
And you and Travis.
Awesome.
You hit the nostalgic note with me because you are my modern day YouTube Bert and Ernie.
They really are.
You are.
You
I
love it.
love you guys. So you guys have fun. Great to see you, Jeff. And
Good to see you too, Miss G.
We love you, Miss G.
Love you, Miss G.
Oh, I love it. Have a good night.
Thank
Eat
you,
some
sweetheart.
cake.
I will. I'll eat it. I
Okay.
promise.
And
You
see,
guys are awesome.
I love Sesame Street too. Like I grew up watching it, so I love it. I have Funkos of Sesame Street. I had
Oh, my
a Frank Oz signed a Cookie Monster Funko, and she said Bert and Ernie, and Travis really is the Bert to Sam's Ernie. I mean,
Exactly.
they just if you watch the BS show, I mean, it's like I'm watching Bert and Ernie. It's a great show, man.
It's great.
Live action Bert and Ernie, pretty much. Yeah.
Damn.
Jeff, you got anything more?
I got a couple of Vampies I picked up this week.
Sure.
Let's see those, man. Hell yeah.
I
Oh,
picked
by
up
the way, great legend, Robert.
Yeah.
Show Robert what Jim did on the back wall.
Oh yeah, the back wall.
Jim Boatwright drew this for him, man.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful?
Dude, that is freaking amazing. I like, the thing I love about Vampirilla, she has that light skin tone, of course, because she's been dead a while, but the reds pop off that thing.
Jim Boatwright, he's one of our community members, legend.
Oh, Boatwright did that?
Jim Boatwright.
Shit, all right. Hell
Yeah.
Boatwright. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Damn.
Beautiful work.
Another white and red hero, of course, is Santa Claus. But wouldn't you want Vampirilla to bring you some gifts?
Yeah,
that's the shit right there.
There's a cosplayer that actually dressed up as Santa Claus. That was pretty funny. I thought it was.
There's that Palmiotti one.
Yep. Palmiotti and Buzz and everybody did this. With this
wow.
Yeah.
God,
So
that's beautiful, dude.
Buzz did some coloring in it, but Palmiotti did the story. Palmiotti did the story for it.
That is so freaking awesome. Palmiotti is such a great writer. Very underrated for those times in the 90s as well.
Yeah. Because I didn't even know he wrote it. I looked it up and I'm like, oh, he wrote I didn't know that. Like,
yeah, man.
Yeah, he did Vengeance. He did, and then I picked up this one.
Ooh, now that's a beautiful cover.
I like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Virgin variant. That's just a sexy freaking cover.
Not even sure the artist, but I'll look at it later.
That's one of those when the variant catches your eye, the eye catches the variant,
Yep. And
Jeff,
then
you just get that one?
Yeah.
That is nice, brother. Nice. Very nice.
Just got that, and then I just got this one this week too. So
I love that one. That one is really cool.
Yeah.
His collection of Vampirilla is amazing.
That Vampirilla almost looks kind of like Bernie Wrightson-esque right there as far as the art, as far as the title. That title looks like a Swamp Thing title, like if I've ever seen one. It's beautiful.
And then I got the version of the Vengeance of Vampirilla this week of Buzz's cover. So here's that.
Woo! Look at that one.
Nice.
Yeah, look at all that blood and stuff. Blood rage right there.
That's all Buzz's art right here, man. This is the Buzz cover. The funny thing about that is Buzz and Dynamite don't get along, and that's why there's the art book I have where he actually water painted in it, because he goes you know Dynamite doesn't like me. I don't. He goes, oh, you brought me this book. He goes, oh yeah, they don't like me and whatever. He starts doing an eyeball in there. So I'm like, oh, it's gonna cost me like $50 for this headshot in this book. And then Buzz goes, oh no, it's not gonna cost you nothing. And this is the Little Perillo one, Virgin.
Perillo always does a great band.
Yeah, he does. His art is unreal.
Yeah,
art is unreal.
Man, that boobs are awesome, man.
Yeah.
They're so good, vampire style. Yeah, dude, that is.
Hey, Robert, thank you. Very cool.
Yep.
Very
And then
Marquise, man, he's nailed it. That Donatello shirt, freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, with
it's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'll grab that Buzz one right here. It's right beside me, anyways. I think it's to show the great legend.
Yes.
The Buzz artwork.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep. Didn't cost me anything either.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I love that, dude. I love when, because you take a book, a hardcover up to an artist and they're like, that's their hardcover. That's their book. And a lot of times, especially on first print books, they'll do those for free.
Yeah.
Because they know you're a true fan buying that hardcover copy.
Yeah. No, he even said, he goes, I'm not in this art. He goes, I'm not in this art book because Dynamite don't like him.
Yeah.
Dynamite
so he wasn't even in the book. He didn't get it for you.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a nice guy then right there.
Yeah. No, he knew because I go, you should. I even joked around with him. I go, you should be in the book because you did a bunch of 90s work for them. I'm like, I'm surprised you're not even in the book. He goes, yeah, because Dynamite and him butt heads. So it's like they don't get along.
Yeah. That sucks.
Yeah, like Legend. This is one that I've been looking for. I'm seeing right here.
Oh, number 8, Weird Science.
Yeah, that one.
I read Weird Science 13. I mean, I think it was called the very first Weird Science was a Weird Science 13 because I think the one that was 12 was some kind of romance, EC romance. And I read issue 13. I kind of read it illegally, but it was a great read. I mean, I mean, how the hell? Okay, I could try to find the reprint because you can get the reprint sometimes. But man, those Weird Science books, it's like you're watching a Twilight. Well, they have a lot of stories in them, but they remind me of the Rod Sterling. I remember Sterling. Now in this reality, it's Serling. That's a Mandela effect thing on my own brain. But those stories in Weird Science are so freaking cool because it's like Twilight Zone stuff, man. It's like the stuff we think about, like in the future, but it happens in reality. But people got to look and see. That's so cool, Galvin. There's not a lot of, I don't see a lot of EC Weird Science people in the community. I see a lot of, I know my brother DS Comics and JD. I don't know, Reaper Tate and DS Comics the most. They love horror. They love the horror ECs.
Yeah, I have a tremendous collection of the old pulps that are kind of underrated.
Mm-hmm.
And here's an example. These old pulps. I have boxes of these of all different types of stories, and one of them, one of them is this one right here. I'll show you here. And the reason why these are like personal grails that I'm on the hunt for, like that one. This one's a pulp.
It's a good looking book.
But look on the very bottom. H.P. Lovecraft, one of my favorite writers.
Oh,
that's the one I'm on.
The creator of that Cthulhu.
The thing about these, Jeff, come into the camera. There you go, bud. Sorry, buddy. In the camera.
I'm so used to it being this way. So.
What's cool about these particular books is, me, in horror, my favorite, modern for 1977 was Aliens.
Oh,
I showed you have all of the inspirational thoughts from H.R. Geiger.
Oh my God!
That
artist, the Dark Seed PC game. Remember that Dark Seed PC game was awesome. Geiger art.
It was, but all those stories, that's how they came up with the idea for the Aliens trilogy.
So Geiger's freaking work. I almost said the other F word, but so beautiful. My buddy Dan had a card collection. The little cards. They were all Geiger art cards. And dude, I got to see if he still has those, man. Let me try to buy them.
Don't want to take up all your time. I know it's late. It's 1:14 in the morning, and I really appreciate your time today,
man.
It's awesome. Much love, brother. Now, this is the time we're going to have a time to say whatever you want to say. Brother, it's all on you, and we're going to time it out here and say whatever you like.
Oh, man, I had a great time tonight. Let me go over this chat one more time because, man, we had a great chat tonight. We got the first guy in the house, who other than the host himself, the comic book G-Spot Galvin up in the house tonight. Comics on the mind saying hey all the time. And you know what, brother? It is clobbering time. Sam's Tangled Web, you better watch out because he ain't dead. He's coming at you live with Ernie and Bert, and I ain't talking about Reynolds, baby. That was kind of just a random one. But I do love Burt Reynolds. Gone too soon. Rob Worstman, awesome to see you tonight as well. We had Hialeah Comic Bro, a.k.a. Chad MF 90s good brother. That's how I met him. Great guy. We had Comic Core Chad holding down the Comic Core always, which is always good. And I'll see him soon enough on a Comic Core show near you very soon. Sarah Heidi Brink. Is this Sarah, the one that does
my
the
daughter.
auctions? That's
my
your daughter?
That was my daughter. Yes, I was
Yeah.
shocked twice. She was in there. It was great.
Dude, great to see you, Sarah. Hell yeah. Thanks for coming by. You better take your prayer. Say your prayers, take your vitamin. I don't know, do some steroids. We got the immortal Biggie Shack hulking up around the house. He's waving the finger. He's going to do the 3 punches, Irish whip, big boot, leg drop us all over. Who Dat Comics and Movies, my old school auction host with the most. What a great guy, man. Great guy. Comics with Bueller, one of the fastest rising, growing channels in the YouTube comic book community. If you're not, I'm pretty sure everyone's subscribed to Bueller, but if you're not subscribed to Bueller, make sure you sub him up, because when him and Sam are together, those are some of my best memories when him and Sam are together. We got the DNP, Downright Nerdy Podcast, a great husband-wife combo sharing their passion, just like Mr. and Mrs. G share their passion for comics and pop culture. Great to see him in here. Chris Barrett, the CB, man, he is everywhere. Now remember, son, get your homework done and go to sleep, because the moon is going down and the sun's coming up. So get it done. Let's see. Rob Wurst in the house still. Who Dat? DNP. I'm just going. Oh, you know, another one. Where is he? Barbarian Kung Fu.
Yes. Yes.
Barbarian was here tonight, man. Great to see Barbarian Kung Fu. One of my favorites. Him is when he's live. I try to catch him all the time. Sarah, again, it's great. It's always good to see your family watching you from afar. You know, that's just the best. But
Hunter
man,
Thompson's in the house. Was in the house.
oh yeah, hell yeah, Hunter Thompson. We had Marquise Roberts in the house. Air Spider 23, and just Hunter. Yeah, Hunter again. I mean, just tons and tons of people. Thank you all so much for watching my main man do what he does every Saturday night at midnight with his co-host Jeff 813, the Cantonese kid with the KID, man, one of the best. 2 Vampirilla fans, 2 freaking fans, Marvel, DC, but you know, not just the Marvel DC, you know, they look in between the lines and find those hidden gems while I bring those hidden rhymes. Galvin, man, again, thank you so much. You and Jeff.
You're very welcome,
having
brother.
me, brother.
Thank you so much. Jeff, go ahead, buddy.
All right, guys. You guys know who this is. You guys know what this is. It's the Comic Books with a Hook show. And then I'm going to have Celebrate Sundays with Conquistadors, Hialeah Comic Bro with Steve, with Robert, if Robert's up.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I have Extreme Nerd Table, the new show. So I'm going to have Tim. So that's going to be a little later, since Tim has this Santa Claus gig he does for acting. So he's going to be doing the elf, one of the elf brothers, elf on a shelf, but it's going to be elf on a boat. So
nice.
So it's going to be a little later tomorrow, but we'll be on. So be sure to catch us. And then I have Cantonese Comic Wednesdays every Wednesday. Episode 44 drops, and this Wednesday at 1. That's all I got, Robert. What you got?
Awesome. I have to say to my guests, legend, right here.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Jeff, right here.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Please, everybody, subscribe to everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for everybody being here. This is another show wrapped up. Thank you so much, you guys. You're at Robert the Comic Book G-Spot Galvin. Boom, right here every Saturday night at midnight. Thank you very much. Thank you for all your support. I'll have everybody's information in the site. I had a little question mark down there. Great Legend will be there with his most recent video he just did. It'll be down in the description on the bottom. Thank you very much, everybody. Much love. And I am going to call us out of here right now. Thank you. Peace. Blessed be.